Race season is just around the corner, and when it comes to the Go Nuclear late models, everyone is excited to see if this year can top 2014. And no better way to find out than looking back on some of the best races of last year. In this special 30-minute edition of the Atomic Power Racing Hour, we highlight the action from the 2014 season with the moments that made memories, including some wild wrecks. We'll also talk to some of the stars of the series and preview where they're going in 2015. It's all coming up next on the Atomic Power Racing Hour. Hello and welcome to the Atomic Power Racing Hour. We are here today at the New York State Fairgrounds in Syracuse inside the Center of Progress building with a whole bunch of brand new race cars. Yes, the season is still a little bit away, but before you know it, 2015 will be out on the racetrack and racing. I'm Doug Elkins. Rich Vleck is joining me here as well. Rich, we've got a great show for everyone here today. We're going to look back and kind of take a look at what happened last year and what's going to happen a little bit this year.
Yeah, a lot going on, as you mentioned here. Go Nuclear late model booth that we're in right now. There's a lot of activity, a lot of anticipation, new racetracks on board, a lot of things going on, and of course the fourth season of Atomic Power Racing Hour action right here in your living room. So we're very excited about it. We'll talk to some of the drivers as well as they get ready for the 2015 race season.
But before we look back at 2014, and what a great season it really was on the series, we're going to look around a little bit here and find out what's going on at Motorsports Expo 2015.
People are getting interested in lots of things going on. Everybody's trying to get their race plans together. This kind of gets you to wake up and say, hey, you know, racing's a few weeks away.
It's good. I like to see that we're going to some new tracks. I like to see that we get a lot more cars coming.
Yeah, seems to be really well. I mean, really happy with the whole rush sanction at Fulton and the series grabbing a couple new tracks, so that's really great. I mean, you can't beat it.
A lot of people talking about the TV show, the races that have been following it. So it's really exciting. We're seeing the growth and all the work that we put in over the last 4 years.
You know, the buzz is good around the car show, and, you know, people are starting to get excited. It was a long winter, and snow's starting to melt, and everyone's starting to get the itch.
As you can see, we've got a great atmosphere here at Motorsports 2015. New cars, a lot of drivers very excited about getting things started.
They can't wait to hit the racetrack, but before we do that, you know, we look back on the year, a lot of drivers still feeling good about 2014.
And they should. We're going to look back at the races. We've got 5 races to cover and 4 more drivers we're going to talk about here, so don't go anywhere. You're watching the Atomic Power Racing Hour.
The winter's almost over. It's time to go racing. The first ever Atomic Spring Clash at the Mohawk International Raceway. 2 days of action-packed excitement. The Go Nuclear late models run 3 features over the weekend. Also on tap, the Dirt Car Sportsman Tour and the Empire Super Sprints. Plus, autographs, a party in the pits, and more. Sprints, Sportsman, and late models. All part of the Atomic Spring Clash. See you at Mohawk.
Want to win an onboard camera? How about a brand new tablet? Just visit the Go Nuclear Late Model Series Facebook page and find out how. While you're there, check out the upcoming schedule, the new line of merchandise, and much more. Just visit facebook.com/Go Nuclear Late Model Series.
The Go Nuclear Late Model Challenge Series is presented by Excel Tower Service, Atomic Chassis, Humber Nurseries, Gandrud Chevrolet, Grills and Ovens, Insinger Performance, Kaiser Wheels, Schaefer's Oil, BA Custom Headers, Finish Line Web Design, and Tenace Diversified.
Welcome back to the Atomic Power Racing Hour as we look back at the 2014 racing season and look ahead to what's to come in 2015. Last year, a little bit of a late start because of Mother Nature, so we got started at the Utica Speedway, known for being one of the biggest, slickest half miles around, Rich.
And on this day, sunny out, the track was definitely like that. It was the first ever Gnome Cup where you win a really cool trophy, and that brought out a record car count. It was also that first race of the year, so everybody was itching to go, and the action was pretty wild throughout.
Let's take a look and see what happened at Utica as we got things started in 2014.
So let's take a look, Rich, at how we got to this point. Let's recap our 30-lap feature event.
Well, not the best start for everybody as we couldn't get the first lap in on the first try. The guys out in front did a great job, but a little bit of an accordion effect in the middle. Bryce Davis got slowed up on the bottom rail, some contact, and it ended up putting Shane Tenace hard into the outside wall, and Brandon Ford got spun around. He was done as well.
Yeah, both of them ended their day. Good racing here early for that number 3 spot.
Yeah, this is on the second lap down on the inside. You've got Tim Sears Jr. slicing through the middle, and this is where you started to get the feel that he may have the dominant car on the night. 8th to 3rd by the 3rd lap.
Yeah, that was a sweet move. Here we got a battle for the lead.
And this was a little bit later on. We saw Dustin Waters kind of choke up on the outside of the racetrack. Looked like his older brother John was going to capitalize and have the bragging rights in the Waters family. Everything looked good, Doug. The bottom line was starting to come in, but so did lap traffic.
Yeah, this was going to be a nice little battle here between the Waters family, but then the lap car came into the picture.
And you see Kyle Sopez really didn't do anything wrong until there, where he shut it down. Saw the lap car on the outside, figured everybody was going by, and then nowhere for Waters to go. Usually the right-hand lane is the little bit slower lane, but the bottom here was a problem for Waters. He was back to 5th, and you had some new heavy hitters up in the front of the field.
So just like that, you go from racing the lead to back to 5th, and here's what was going on up front.
And Tim Sears said, here's my opportunity. I want to be on the bottom as long as no lap cars are down there, and this was the critical point. He drove it in hard on the bottom of 1, got it to stick on that very thin ribbon of dirt, got into the race lead. A little bit later on, though, some things were happening with Rick Miller.
Yeah, we originally thought there were just a couple of cars in here, but actually Stuart Friesen was caught up. You saw him there on the outside. A lot of guys out on that one. Last lap, though, nothing left for Tim Sears to do but take the checkers.
Almost a 6-second advantage over Charlie Sandercock when he got the win.
So that was race number 1. One thing we didn't know at the time, and we found out afterwards, Tim Sears Jr. did not pass tech afterwards. He was disqualified. The win was awarded to Charlie Sandercock. 2 weeks later, we headed to Humberstone Speedway in Rich. Humberstone Speedway and late models, they get along pretty well, don't they?
Well, they run there every Sunday night. Very different racetrack than Utica Rome, about half the size of it, double the action, and a lot more fender banging around that little racetrack.
Let's take a look and find out what happened at Humberstone last season.
Let's look back and find out how John Waters did make his way to victory lane. He had a lot of work to do in this one.
He sure did. You know, he started a little bit further back than some of the other drivers. Started in 5th. You saw Jordan Peters jump out to the early race lead. But then 11 laps into the event, it was a different 11. That John Waters machine looking to the inside. And as Peters went to throw the proverbial block, Chad Ruhlman got to the outside, led that lap of the line. A caution would come out, give Ruhlman the lead, but he would not hold it for long.
Yep, and then here comes Waters to the inside part of the racetrack. Really was interesting to watch how this racetrack changed over the course of 35 laps.
Yeah, you're right. It really was about the driver on the bottom hitting his marks. If he hit his marks, he was going to be faster. If he didn't hit his marks, the guy on the outside probably would get the momentum built up. So it took a few laps for Waters to consistently hit his groove on the bottom of the racetrack. If he didn't do this for the 3-lap stretch here, it probably would have been Ruhlman holding on, but then Ruhlman slipped up in 3 and 4.
Yeah, and there was not a high cushion at this track, so it was tough to maintain that high line. Here we had problems on a restart. Dale Caswell's car just didn't go.
Yeah, just you heard the engine starting to quit, and that was bad news for A.J. Kingsley, Jordan Peters. They all stacked up behind him. Caswell, the 2-time champion, was done for the night.
Ruhlman looks to take the lead back with that outside line again.
Just over 10 laps left to go. Waters missed his mark in 1 and 2, lost all his momentum. Ruhlman had it set up going into turn number 3 and 4, but again, a little bit too high over the berm, and that would give just enough cushion for Waters to hold on.
Not enough cushion to keep Ruhlman down either. So here we got trouble on a restart again between Sandercock and Kingsley.
They were running 3rd and 4th. Kingsley had a chance to break into that lead duo, but Sandercock hooked into the back of him and then finished him off, and Kingsley was done for the night.
Flat left rear among other damage on the Kingsley car. Here's Sandercock. Is he going to get second? No, maybe not.
Yeah, this was the final restart of the race. Really hauled the mail into the corner, but no bite in the middle groove, and not only would he not get second, he'd fall back to 3rd as Paul Grigsby, who started back in 11th, hit his marks and got into one of the podium positions.
Chad Ruhlman, though, would have one last chance to try to get the leader by changing his line.
Tried something a little different, though, and Waters was more comfortable to that groove, and that's why he was out in front all the way home.
Waters, really, the last lap was really very easy for him. Rich is now caught up with another key player in that race.
Oh, certainly a good night for John Waters at Humberstone. Not as good of a night for the guy standing next to me right now, A.J. Kingsley. A.J., we saw you get caught up in that wreck the year before. You had a great show at Humberstone. That must have been pretty disappointing.
Yeah, it was very disappointing. It's pretty bad. We ran the whole race coming back up through the field. I think we started 9th or 10th or something like that, and marched our way up to a 3rd. We were running right behind Chad Ruhlman and John Waters, so I mean, those guys get wins on the Rush Series. And I was I was happy to run with those guys, and on that restart, Charlie ended up hooking me and driving me around, but it's all squared away from there, I guess.
On a whole for the 2014 season, assess that. Not too far off the championship points lead.
No, I think I was 30 points or so out of the lead. I think we ended up fourth in the series points. Well, I mean, the way we figure, if I would have at least finished third in that Humberstone race, and if I would have went to Cornwall the next week, there's no reason why we wouldn't have won the championship. So we're very optimistic about this year. We want to go out and have a good showing on the series as well as our local track.
Yeah, at Fulton, you had a great year last season, a multitude of wins, but what would it mean to pick up a Tour win this year?
It'd be great. I've wanted to pick one up for years. I've gotten close a few times, but never grabbed it.
How's the winter been?
It's been well. Spending most of my time between work and hanging out with my son. Just turned 2, so that's pretty great.
So a lot planned for the year then?
Yeah, we're going to stick with the same thing. We're going to run Fulton weekly, and then we're going to do the series. And I don't know if we're going to really hit any rush races, but I'd like to hit at least 1 or 2 throughout the year.
Well, we can expect to see them in just a month or so. For now, we'll head to break. We'll be back with more action here from the Motorsports Expo. You're watching the Atomic Power Racing Hour.
If you care about quality, service, or pride of ownership, it's time to call Tenace AV. Tenace AV provides music and theater systems for the home that defy expectations and are a clear cut above those found in the mass market stores, including handcrafted opera loudspeakers, Unison research amplification from Italy, Integra home theater, and many more. Discover the difference at tenaceav.com or visit us on Facebook.
Planning a trip to Victory Lane? Let Atomic Chassis get you there. Atomic Chassis are built with a high attention to detail using superior parts from trusted manufacturers such as BPM, Winters, Bernheisel, Bilstein, All-Star Performance, Vulcan, and many more. With superior craftsmanship and materials, you know Atomic will last. And since each customer becomes a part of our family, you aren't treated like just another number. So visit atomicchassis.com today to plan your next trip to Victory Lane.
The winter's almost over. It's time to go racing. The first ever Atomic Spring Clash at the Mohawk International Raceway. 2 days of action-packed excitement. The Go Nuclear late models run 3 features over the weekend. Also on tap, the Dirt Car Sportsman Tour and the Empire Super Sprints, plus autographs, a party in the pits, and more. Sprints, Sportsman, and late models, all part of the Atomic Spring Clash. See you at Mohawk.
Welcome back to the Atomic Power Racing Hour as we look back at the 2014 season with the Go Nuclear Late Model Series. Doug Elkins, Rich Fleck here with you at Motorsports Expo here in Syracuse. Race number 3 we're up to now. Rich, we headed north of the border to Cornwall, a track that is known as one of the tiniest and one of the biggest action tracks around.
They say it's like racing around the rim of a toilet bowl. The series had never been there, but the result was perhaps the best finish ever in series history. And along the way, it got a little wild.
It did get a little wild early on, but the finish was well worth the wait. Let's take a look back at Cornwall in 2014.
Here's the start of the race here at Cornwall.
And it was Adam Turner out in front, and he would be either in the discussion for the lead or the leader all the way through. But boy, a couple drivers took some cracks at him, including Rick Miller on lap number 5.
And you can see early on here, the outside was pretty good. That's where most of the guys made their passes. Let's flash forward ahead. Turner, though, takes the lead back here for a while.
You know, Ron Morin and the crew, former owner of the Cornwall Motor Speedway, did an awesome job at preparing this racetrack. It was the first feature out, and you can't ask for more than 2 even racing groups. There was never a point where, you know what, the bottom's where you have to be or the top's where you have to be. It kept drivers kind of on their toes throughout the whole race.
And Phil Potts, of course, before he could get to battle for the lead, he had to get up to 3rd, and there's the move. Not many people passed Dale Caswell on the bottom.
Yeah, he would take 3rd, and it would become a 2nd place position after Rick Miller had fell out, so that was a big deal. But before Rick Miller fell out, it would be Charlie Sandercock falling to the back as he would go over the berm back to 12th. He would rebound to get back to 6th, but his chances at winning were done.
Now here it looked like these were the 2 guys that were going to battle for the lead. Rick Miller was going to the high side, seemed to have it working up pretty well up there, Rich.
You know, it's just a matter of hitting his marks each time and getting by. Well, Adam Turner had to be steady on the bottom, and boy was he ever until the final corner, but at least at this point had things going his way. Miller, this is where the battery had a little bit of an issue.
Yep, right then we kind of figured, okay, does anybody else have anything to challenge? Phil Potts, here he comes. He thinks he's lost it here, but no.
No, he went over the berm, coming to the white flag, and, not quite what Adam Turner would have hoped for. At the same time that was going on, Jason Knowles spun around while running in fourth, set up that one-lap dash to the finish. Turner was good through 1 and 2, but Potts threw everything at it in 3 and 4.
And I wonder if that lap before that he went off a little high might have helped him here run a better line off of turn number 4. Potts would steal the win.
What a finish that was at Cornwall. Rich, smallest track, gave us probably our best finish of the season.
Two great grooves that were so equal throughout the race, and great to see Phil Potts pick up his first Tour win in his history.
And the big thing there was we had the restart right before. If that last yellow hadn't happened, we wouldn't have had that.
He wouldn't have been close to picking up the win because he had just blown it off the edge on that one, and he almost did it again for the win.
What an exciting race. So now we go from the smallest track on the circuit up in Canada to one of the biggest tracks in northern New York, Can-Am Motorsports Park. Check this one out because it gets pretty wild in the feature.
Sean Beardsley would lead the field at the start, but Rich, Charlie Sandercock, was on a mission.
Well, his car was good from the start, and like you said, these guys are pedaling it out there, and he had it stuck on the bottom of the racetrack, especially in the early going, able to get by Sean Beardsley, who had that random push in his 46 for too much of the event. Beardsley was good, but we're going to see it here as they go into turn number 3, that, he could run back to the top, and then the car would just slide the nose a little bit. Got to past halfway, and then we had the big one.
Boy, and we haven't really had one of these on this series yet when you get right down to it, but 17 cars in this one, a lot of torn up cars. Look at this view from Brett Belden.
Oh, and I keep watching the hands where he goes up and knows that he doesn't want his hand on the steering wheel for that one. When they got back underway, Sean Beardsley took one look down to the bottom, and Sandercock was too good. The race went caution-free from there, and the 57 would pull away, but the battle for second was a good one.
Sure was.
Here's Corey Earl getting by A.J. Kingsley and then setting his sights on the 46 of Beardsley.
He would find his way by Beardsley as well. Corey Earl ended up being very fast in the late stages of this race, and for a guy who needed a good run, it was good to see him get one.
But Sandercock was definitely the class of the field. Well, Charlie Sandercock ran away with the win, and at the end of the year ran away with the championship. But Sean Beardsley put up a good fight that night, and here was Sean now at the Motorsports Expo, and that was a pretty sporty run for you at Can-Am.
Yeah, it was at the beginning when this kind of was an experimental car this year, so we had a lot to work on, and I just had way too much bite that night. And I ran second pretty much the whole race. Towards the end, I kind of fell off a little bit because I literally was lifting both tires coming right out of the turn. I lost my steering coming out, so I had to slow down a little bit more. But overall, it was a good night of racing.
Not a bad night. You had another good night for about 49 laps or whatever at Fulton. We'll show that in a little while, but for 2014 as a whole, how was the season?
Oh, it was actually not a spectacular season as far as performance-wise. I only got the one win. I got way too many second-place finishes. But overall, taking the car from experimental point and being a complete dominant car. I mean, you look at the last 3 races, we had Fulton. I should have won that race. It was just one of those things that happened. Went to Brockville the following weekend, got second, and then I won Black Rock. So overall, my car was pretty dominant at the end of the year. I feel good about it. I mean, we took a car that really didn't work well. We experimented with it. We learned a lot, helped Shane learn a lot, and overall, I think it was a successful year of racing for sure.
So you walk away on a high note to end the year. How do you start 2015 on a high note? What's the plans?
Well, I'm putting together my own car right now, so I'm going to start with that same car most likely. I'm going to race the 46 car first few races. And it's pretty much sitting there just the way it came off the track at Black Rock. I'll blow the tires up, do my maintenance, and pretty much we're going to go and start with that. Maybe put a little more input for Shane. And then I'll be running my own car after that, and plan on a couple super late model shows. Maybe get some of those shows going again, and just trying to do as much racing as I can.
Well, it's good to see you back in action, and a lot planned for 2015. Sean Beardsley, as we mentioned, we got one more race to show. Looking back at 2014 here on the Atomic Power Racing Hour, it's that race from Fulton. He was a big part of it. You don't want to miss it. It's coming up right after this.
Hello and welcome back here to the Atomic Power Racing Hour as we look back at the exciting races we showed you last year while we look ahead to what's to come in 2015. Rich, we're at Fulton now. Big race weekend, outlaw weekend, and a large car count and a little snafu in the middle of the show.
Yeah, a couple stoppages by Mother Nature. Made for a long night, but it was well worth the wait to get to the checkered flag.
There was a little excitement at the end of the race, and one driver was very happy with the way things turned out in the end.
A huge car count filled the pits at Fulton, and when the feature got underway, it was Alan Fink getting out in front of the field.
Yeah, and Laszlo Holyfield, what a issue going into turn number 1 on the opening circuit. But then the race would really take some big green flag segments, and we saw Kevin Cook with a great run. He'd get up to second, but Dale Caswell was not to be denied on the bottom, at least early on when the track was still pretty slick.
Yeah, nice move there as we saw him squeeze between Kevin Cook and those utility tires is what they call those down on the inside. But Sean Beardsley, the 46, we'd see a lot more of him.
Yeah, and he'd throw it in real hard into 3 and nearly lost it all as he fell back to 5th after getting very loose in the corner, but he would make up for it. We'd see that later on.
Here's the lead change down on the bottom. Looked kind of like the pass we saw before.
Yeah, exactly. It was just a matter of Caswell getting that restart on lap number 19 and waiting for Fink to make just a little bit of a bobble.
Here we are. This is right before the rain started to really fall. Ooh. This is the crash that set us to red.
Yeah, a bunch of lap cars got involved. Belden, McDonald, Kelly Weiss. And then, as you mentioned, that the rains would become too much. The restart would come out, and look at Beardsley go back forward with the track coming back into his liking. He would get around in lap traffic, but then it would be the lap traffic that would do him in.
Yeah, here it is. They'd already taken the white flag at this point, and look what happens.
Beardsley gets hooked up with Brett Belding, couldn't get detached. Caswell would get back out in front, survive a restart, and would hold off Alan Fink to pick up the win. Well, the Fulton race certainly turned a lot of heads, and as you turn over my head, you can see the racing action being enjoyed by many here at the Motorsports Expo, including Dale Caswell, the winner of that race. And I know it was a tough start of the year for you, but to be able to get that win on a long night and battle back, what was that like?
It meant a lot for us to win with the 88 car at Fulton Speedway, in front of such a big crowd for a special event. The show was great. We were really set up good for the first half of the race. Then the rain came in, and it changed the whole scheme of things, and it made it a fun race for the fans.
Certainly was. Wasn't the only race you won, though. It was the only one we showed in the Atomic Power Racing Hour, but you picked up a couple of other wins on the tour.
Yeah, we won the Great Crate race again for the second year in a row, and then we picked up a race in Brockville, Ontario as well. So we had 3 wins on the series.
Which isn't a bad deal when you consider that most of your races last year were run only on the tour, where most of the other guys will run at a weekly venue.
Yeah, they had a little bit of an advantage-wise for running more races. But on the other hand, we had a little bit more of an advantage because all our stuff was fresh, and we used it for just the series races, and, it paid off, pretty well. We ended up second, and we had some good races, point races-wise.
So what's the plan for 2015 then?
We're going to definitely follow the Go Nuclear series. We'll do that again, and we might hit a couple other different paying races, but, that's pretty much going to be our deal.
Trying to get back on top, huh?
Yeah, we fell to second this year, and now I really want it. I want it back.
He's got that feeling back, and he's ready to go. He said he's just kind of hanging out until the start of the race season, but you be sure that Dale Caswell will be ready to go. We'll take a break and be right back here on the Atomic Power Racing Hour.
Hello and welcome back to the Atomic Power Racing Hour. We've had a chance to look back at the races in 2014. Now we're going to talk with the series organizer. Shane Tenace doesn't just put this thing together, he drives as well. Shane, as you look back at 2014, what impressions did you have of the season?
The season was really full of a lot of highlights. I mean, Cornwall and Fulton, both incredible finishes. The first annual Gnome Cup, we're pretty excited about that. Overall, really great season of racing.
Of course, as we saw from some of the highlights from some of the races, things didn't go exactly to plan every night for every driver.
Yeah, sometimes things happen. I had my fair share of a few oopsies. And, I guess on the upside, gets me in the highlights.
There you go. Speaking of those oopsies, let's look at some of the things that went wrong on the racetrack, some of the crashing moments that we had on the Go Nuclear Series last year. I don't know about you, Shay, but some of those moments really made me say ouch.
Oh, yeah. On a personal level, the Utica Rome one definitely hurt me in my pocketbook. And the big one at Can-Am was particularly brutal.
Yeah, the Can-Am one, a lot of people got caught up in that one. Got some great in-car footage from that as well. So as we look forward now to 2015, what are we thinking about for the series? I guess the first thing that jumps out is some new venues this year.
Oh, we're tremendously excited. A new event that we tried to get in last year, the Atomic Spring Clash. We're excited about that, and we're ready. We actually have the track clear already. The Weedsport coming in at the end of the year, tremendously excited about that. Great venue for late models, and of course us weekend with the Triple Crown Showdown. And then we're bringing back events that have been exciting in the past, and we expect to build on that. The Gnome Cup 2 and the Great Crate Race at Brighton.
I'm excited. I'm ready to go. As you look at our screen now, you can see where we're going to be this year. These are the tracks that the Go Nuclear Late Model Series we visit. Got a great crew of drivers and a great crew of folks on TV to bring the action to you. So look for the new races on the Atomic Power Racing Hour coming up here as the Go Nuclear Late Model Series comes to a track near you.